We are reviewing how to take notes. Take a look at some of these texts and how they're marked. This is how you'll eventually be marking all of your texts in college and late high school or later in high school. Look at all that, pictures and underline, sometimes in different colors, arrows, stars. We're going to focus on characterization, details that reveal a character's personality, not their height, weight, their personality, their identity. So this person, for instance, lonely, isolated, depressed, his friend's happy. Theme is a lesson or message in a story. Often this is a shared experience with readers and possibly the author. We discussed this a little bit with Camp Harmony, and it's back this week. Identity, who a person is, will often be the subject of a theme. Gender will often be the subject of a theme. Prejudice about money, classism is a theme in this book. Family is certainly a theme in this book. Another thematic topic is choice, the ability to or not make a choice. Community, this notion of Chicago and community of Mango Street. And ethnicity, social groups. So the line, in English, my name means hope. In Spanish, it means too many letters. I underlined it, and I identified it as identity, and I used a little symbol there. Identity, who a person is. It also goes with characterization. So, her name means hope, so she might identify with hope, and that's a positive thing in the English pronunciation, but in Spanish, it's a little less positive. It's just a jumble of letters, confusion. So that tells me what? It tells me there's some confusion about identity. She's not exactly sure who she is if she looks to her name only. And I also underlined Spanish because ethnicity is mentioned again in this paragraph, and it's her father, and it's how she closes the paragraph, that he listens to records while shaving, and the songs are like sobbing, or songs like sobbing. Now, sobbing at first can seem like a bad thing, but since it's tied up with ethnicity and her father, so it's a family issue too, I have to consider a little bit more. So he listens to the records, and maybe she doesn't like them. Maybe, like kids, they don't like what their parents try to feed them. Yuck. Or maybe sobbing in a way that's good, letting emotions out. So, Dad, I love you. Thank you. But regardless, it's tied up with her being a Mexican-American and the daughter of a Mexican-American man. So we have a mixture of ethnicity and, more importantly, gender. So, saying that particular ethnic groups don't like their women strong. And of course we pay attention to that because we try to promote equality. And she calls out these different groups saying, look, they have these gender biases, these gender prejudices, the sexist cultures. She mentions China, but more importantly, she mentions her own ethnicity, Mexico, or Mexican. So, not appreciating traditional gender roles, but wanting to be an independent woman. She can do it. She's independent. She talks about that in the story as well. So we understand two things about her character, is that she wants to be independent, and the theme, which seems to be promoting independence through her. So when it comes to making these thematic notes, or character-related notes, it's because it helps us to better understand the story. We find out that her grandmother, instead of having a traditional marriage, had a sack thrown over her head and she was taken away. That she spent her life looking out the window and was sad and depressed, and that she doesn't want that. She wants to be an independent woman. So if we had to write a theme, we could use the word identity and we could use the word gender in that theme. Often in life, our identity has something to do with gender. turns out the more you can say about the theme of the story, the more you can say about Esperanza, who's telling this story and who the story is about. So there's a relationship between characterization and theme. Now we'll be taking this story and linking it to the other stories, and we can remember what we said here when we read this different story on a different day. Taking notes, taking notes.